Welcome to Finding Certainty with your host and U.S. Army veteran, Patrick Laing. Over the next hour, you'll learn from Patrick and his expert guests how to attract more certainty into your business and your life. Now, here is your host, Patrick Laing.
Welcome to Finding Certainty. It's our favorite day of the week, Friday morning. I look forward to Friday all week long because I get to meet with extraordinary guests. And on the first Friday of each month, I get to do my monologue. As I've gone through this last year's first Friday, I've been dissecting and unpacking the topic of certainty. As I move through the alphabet from accountability, balance, composure, to the last couple of months, I focused on K is for kindness and L is for light. Well, my guest today is a great example of infusing light into everything he touches, into his community, into our business, into the lives of the business owners, executives, nonprofits, and so forth with whom he interacts. You know him if you've been on my show before, Mr. Frank Helring. Thanks for being here, Frank.
Hey, Patrick. Really great to have you. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. We got lots of great stuff to look forward to.
Well, we do, and we have a lot to talk about this morning. We've been through a lot in the last almost 3 years now, as we've really started out on a journey that I think is taking on speed and taking on momentum, even unlike we even imagined, right? I mean, I think we knew there was something there, but we had no idea how big it was going to be and how many lives we were going to touch. And really, it's all kind of your fault, Frank, honestly. You were the fire starter, right? The blaze is turning into an inferno.
Yeah, I've always been accused of that, my friend. I think what's amazing is that this all began during the pandemic, during a time of crisis in America. And you and I met, and I had you as a guest on my show. And it all basically stemmed from there. But I think the wonderful thing is we're now on the other side, looking back at this tunnel walking that we did for several years. And we're like a phoenix that's rising out of the ashes. And I've been saying that all along for small business in America, that they need to be like a phoenix rising out of the ashes. And I think it's wonderful because we're rising out of the ashes with them.
We are. It's always interesting having 2020 hindsight, right? Looking at the decisions you made and the ones you're glad you did and the ones you wish you hadn't, and the mistakes you've made and the lessons you've learned. But that's always the case in any endeavor, right? In any relationship, any business, any challenge. We look back and we kind of have this perfect vision, or at least it's a clearer vision. I believe it's a principle of certainty that we not only look back, and I've talked about this on my show, but we're looking forward, we're planning, we're preparing, we have foresight, right? And then not only hindsight at the end, but while you're going through it, you have midsight, and you're stopping and stepping back and asking questions and constantly really assessing, how are you doing, right? Where are you going? And because if you wait until the end, you miss out on the opportunity to improve the process. I think ultimately where you'll arrive is going to be limited if you don't have that midsight. That's kind of what we're doing today. That's what we're going to do on this show today is we're stepping back a little bit, looking at not just the past year, but the past 2 or 3 years, and saying, how are we doing? Right? What's working? Because there's a lot of things that are working that, we're very excited about.
Well, I think that's the reason why, you and I get along so well. I mean, partnerships, if you take a look at the history of them, they don't make it. Okay. Because sometimes partners, basically have differences, things like that. And we don't. And I think a large reason for that is we're 20 years apart in age, You've got your strengths, I've got my strengths. And what's interesting is they balance each other. And that's the reason why we're able to put this platform together that, basically serves the needs of large, medium, and small businesses. Never in the history of America have anybody or anyone ever seen what you and I have constructed over the last 3 years. I mean, it's just amazing. We've got 10 divisions, God knows how many solution platforms for all this element of business in America. And I'm excited about that, okay, because they're going to need help.
Well, they are. And if you're listening for the first time, or maybe you're not familiar with who Frank Helring is, let's go back a little bit. Let me introduce him. I always share two reasons why I've invited this guest. Well, as I alluded to at the beginning, the first is that Frank is the reason we're here today. He's the reason we are building what we're building in a very real sense, and that, or at least that it's becoming what it can be and is becoming. It's interesting. I was invited. I was about 2 years in on my building my business certainty management. We were starting to do some exciting things, starting to try to serve nonprofits in some unique ways and use what we're good at to help them raise funding. Some things that we were excited about that had there were baby steps, if you will, but starting to turn some heads. And I was invited to be a guest on Frank's show. Frank has been the host of a live radio show on Voice America named BizZne BuzZ. And I was invited to be his guest. We had a great conversation that day talking about what we were doing, and we really resonated with each other. And at the end, do you remember what you said, Frank? Remember what the question you asked me?
I said, you got a radio voice. Have you ever been on the radio? And then you gave me your answer. And I said, well, I'll set up an appointment with the general manager, and the rest is history.
Well, that's exactly right. What's funny is that Robert Cellino, who we both adore, he was the general manager here for a long time. Semi-retired now, I guess you could say, but he's still involved. But Frank scheduled a meeting with him, and it took us a few weeks to get together. He's a very busy guy, and I think we had 30 minutes scheduled on his calendar. Well, we ended up talking for 2 hours, right, about what I would do a show about, what would the pillars of that show be, and so forth and so on. He asked me a lot of questions about my background and so forth and so on. And we really hit it off. And I remember the question he asked me was, what would he used the word pillars. He said, what would the pillars of your show or the highlights of your show be? And I said, it kind of caught me off guard, but I thought about it for a minute. And I said, well, first, I believe that if you truly want to be successful, you've got to be willing to change. You've got to be willing to be open to evolution, right? To be willing to evolve, be open to new relationships and new technologies and new concepts and even new insights, right? You got to be willing to be open-minded. The second one, the second pillar that leads into that is we've got to work together. We have a lot more in common than we have that we differ on. We feel very passionately about that 5% or 10% that we differ on. We hear it in the political during the political landscape, but we've got to focus on those things that we agree on, because we all want the same things, right? We want lower inflation and good jobs and clean drinking water. I would say no potholes in the roads and and safety in our schools, right? These are really big things that we all care about. There's things we differ on, but that's okay. If we can focus on the 90% and agree to disagree on the 10%, we can get stuff done. And then my last pillar, I said, I think if we can do those two things, be willing to change, be willing to work together, that we can get back the national pride that in a very real sense has been lost over the last few years. And it just really resonated. He offered me the pilot. It's a 13-week pilot, eventually the year contract. I just signed my 3rd year contract with Voice America. And so it's kind of how it all got started. It's all your fault, Frank.
Well, as you said at the outset, I'm a fire starter, okay? And I think the wonderful thing is, as we began to envision where this company is now today, I think you can sum it up basically very simply. I'm a can-do, you're a how-to, okay? I basically get out there and say, we can do this, Patrick, and then you say, well, how are we going to go about doing it? and it works. It works because the goal is very simple. We really want to help business in America. And we don't just want it to stop there. We want it to go international because small business in general, is all across this globe. And what we have done and put together here services both sides of that equation. That's exciting. I mean, to sit here and say, well, where are you right now? Well, we're a company basically that is sitting right in a positioning necessary to do market-centric penetration in a lot of ways and a lot of means. And what's exciting is that is exactly what America needs and everybody else out there.
You're absolutely right. And to clarify, I mean, let me give a little bit of perspective on what Frank's talking about. Is I was first his guest. I became a host. Frank and I became friends. We got to know each other. We started talking more. He was mentoring me a little bit and becoming a radio host and how to do it right. And we started talking about my business, Certainty Management, and his business, and everything he's involved in. And we found we had a lot of synergies. And I said, you should become a referral partner for us. You know, a lot of people. You have a lot of connections.
You tried to hire me. Oh my goodness. Go ahead.
But, we have a nationwide network of associates, and I just thought, man, this guy would be a great addition to our team of what we call referral partners. Right? They're independent, but they open doors for us. And the more we started working together, we decided to there was a couple of projects we started working together on. We just said, let's just split it 50-50, whatever we do. In fact, we ended up starting another company together called Certainty Global, in addition to Certainty Management, our consulting firm. And it's really a joint venture technology firm. Mostly everything that we are doing with Certainty Global is technology related. We can get into a little bit more of what that consists of. But back to your point, Frank, both domestically and abroad, we're serving four main groups. We're serving businesses and business owners. We're serving nonprofits. Through our work, we realized we could do more than just make income. We could make a difference, and we could use our expertise at profitability and finding, hidden dollars to help nonprofits raise funding. We're helping students to both graduate debt free, and if they've already have graduated, to retire their student loans. And so we have a paid internship called the Certainty Fellowship. And lastly, we're working to help veterans. We are a veteran-owned company. I was in the Army for several years. We actually have representation within our team from every single branch. Mm-hmm. Nobody from Space Force yet, but maybe eventually.
I can say this, Patrick. One of the biggest things, and any business that you have, okay, you have that differentiation point, right? That sets us apart from somebody else. And I think the major differentiation that we've created here, and I look at this from a small business standpoint of view because I own one, as you well know. I own a medical aesthetic practice in Yorba Linda since 2013. So I know what it is to make payroll. I know what it is to turn the key in the door. I know what it is to buy insurances. I know what it is when we have problems and things like that. But I also know what it is when somebody approaches me to try to sell me on some marketing scheme, right? To bring more products or services or even customers through my front door. And I will tell you this, the major difference, and if you're listening to us out there right now, take notes because this is important. The major difference is very rarely are we going to ask you to open your checkbook, okay? Very rarely are we going to ask you to make an additional outlay. Very rarely are we going to turn around and become a headache to your business. We're going to become a complement. We're going to become an enhancement. We're going to become basically a quasi-partner without us ever really having a formal agreement. And the most important thing is we're going to go find money for you that you don't know exists. We're talking about found dollars here that we can place in your hands that you can use right now.
That's right, 100%. We always say there are millions and even billions of dollars out there hiding, and we know how to help you recover your share. They're your dollars. I mean, perfect example of that is as we speak, we're helping our clients take part in a massive Visa MasterCard settlement. It's 20 years in the making. Several merchants complained and went after Visa MasterCard for overcharging on their interchange fees. And it took 20 years. They've gone through all the appeals. They settled it for $5.5 billion. And it's grown to over $6 billion now with interest from what we understand. But those are your dollars. Those are your interchange fees. If you accepted Visa MasterCard between 2004 and 2019, there is money sitting in that account waiting for you to claim it. And guess what? If you don't claim it, it's going to someone else. It's going to be divided up among other merchants. And so this is a good example. It's a little bit unique because it's a temporary project. Most of ours continue in perpetuity. This one will be ending on February 5th is the deadline. But it's a good example of exactly Frank's point that we help companies to access hidden dollars that are waiting for them. They don't even know they're out there more often than not. Or if they do, they may have heard, but they don't know how to access them. They need help. That's what we do.
Yeah, and the beauty of this is that, this is money that they don't know exists. It's just like, our CBI project, which is Corporate Benefit Initiative, right? We can help a company with 50 or less employees or 50 or more employees. We've got some big companies out there right now that are adopting this. And just to cut to the chase, if you've got employees and you know the value of benefits, because benefits attract salary attracts, benefits retain. Okay. And so to be able to expand your benefit platform with 15 basically no cost benefits to you as an employer and no cost to your employee, and then turn around and put as much as $650 FICA money back in your hands per employee every single year, you are talking about a massive improvement of your benefit platform, no out-of-pocket expense to you, no out-of-pocket expense to the employee. And what's amazing about this is that Uncle Sam endorses this with a tax code that's existed since 1948. If you want to know more about that, pick up the phone and call Certainty right now, because I'm telling you right now, we are in an employment crisis in this country. We do have an issue out there right now with healthcare going crazy to the moon as far as expenses, and this can help to offset, more importantly, enhance and improve what you've already got existing without a threatening tone.
I'm really glad you brought up CBI, Frank, because it's probably our most popular offering, right? I mean, our team is very active, very excited about what it's doing for our clients and what it can do for them. And to your point, there is zero upfront or out-of-pocket cost to the employer, right? It's founded in this Section 125. It's been around for 75 years. Basically, it's the program works because Congress has said we're willing to take less taxes today in order to save billions of dollars later on Medicare. They know that if we'll take what we would have spent on FICA tax and Social Security and so forth, and take some of that and put it into health and wellness programs for our employees, we can help offset chronic disease. We can help them with mental health issues. And just let me clarify what some of the benefits are. Any employer with 10 or more W-2 employees, they've got to be making about at least $25,000 a year for it to make sense. But 10 or more W-2 employees can receive a guaranteed issue life insurance policy up to $100,000, unlimited telemedicine, unlimited mental health counseling, no copays. They get several free prescriptions, an indemnification plan where you actually get paid cash if you get injured. There's a medical bill eraser program, a concierge, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. My favorite part of it is it comes with every employee receiving a biometric app that goes on their phone, their app, their tablet, their watch, et cetera, through which they can access their benefits, talk to counselors, even scan their retinas, gives them data points, and uploads it to their primary care physician. I mean, all of it paid for out of tax savings. This is not a tax credit. It's not a tax deduction. These are tax savings. Their FICA tax and so forth, the employer is already paying for, that now goes back in their pocket. In fact, it creates so much savings that about $650 per employee goes back to their bottom line. So it's a no-brainer. It's an extraordinary program for both employers and for employees. And it's just one example of the offerings that we have created. Maybe Frank, you can talk about where we've come in the last 3 years from one product line
Well,
to today. Right?
I
You
think,
just alluded to it, right?
but let me say this to you. I think, and I've always believed in this in my 55 years in the business realm, everything is in the power of the relationship. Okay. You can have the best product or service out there, but if you don't have the relationship between the person that you're serving or serving you, there's no business. Okay. You got to have a likability factor. And I think what's really amazing is all of our vendors, we have a likability factor with, okay? I remember the movie Wall Street, where Gordon Gekko looked at Bud Fox across the table and said, Bud Fox, I look at 100 deals a day. I choose one. And what's amazing is, Patrick, you and I basically operate in that same vein, okay? We're not going to bring something on board that's going to embarrass us, give us a black eye, or put a situation out there that's going to really compromise a client, okay? In a sense, we've done the shopping for the business community. It's the final decision rests with them. But the bottom line is our reputation matters, all right? The other thing is that I think it's so amazing. You talk about CBI, well, let's graduate up, right? We got one of the biggest marketplaces facing us right now, which is 13,000 people turning 65 years old in this country per day. Per day.
And they will for the next 10 years.
Exactly. We are an aging, we're an aging population. And what comes across our radar screen through our relationships is a company out of Annapolis, Maryland, in the shadow of the Naval Academy. I can't wait to get back there, okay? Because you know how military minded I am, right? And here we've got a guy by the name of Jim Bland that puts this company together called Senior Health Services. And I'll tell you what, I'll drop it.
Home Services.
Oh, I'm sorry, Home Services. Whoops, I got health on the brain. I'm sorry, I'm 72. Okay, listen, I'll leave it right there. You tell them who SHS is.
Well, you touched on a point earlier about the fact that there is zero out-of-pocket cost, right? For CBI, for the Visa MasterCard settlement, for virtually everything we do. There's a couple of exceptions, our battery management and our HVAC technology that can reduce your operating costs by 30%. Our benefit options, you do have to pay for benefits, but both of those are immediately putting money back in your pocket because they're costing you less than you were spending before. And so Seniors Home Services is one more example of a product or service that we provide with zero out-of-pocket cost. This is an extraordinary service that provides chronic care management, remote patient monitoring, free health and wellness coaching, et cetera, to seniors. Anyone who's on Medicare, it's paid for by Medicare. There's zero cost to the patients, zero cost to the providers. We're finding physicians and chiropractors and physical therapists and others are excited about it because it provides better care to their patients and it takes workload off of their plates. We know how busy their offices are, their staff. This helps alleviate much of that workload because now these seniors are getting weekly check-ins. They've got someone to call and ask questions of. They're getting coaching and so forth and so on. So not only does it provide better care to the patients and free up workload for the staff, but it also puts 6 digits or multiple 6 digits in additional revenue into the provider's pockets. So it's truly win, win, win all the way around. And I mean, it's extraordinary. We even have a division that if a senior wants to do upgrades in their home to age in place, we can provide that as part of this service. And speaking to your point, Frank, there's a massive market out there. There's an enormous need, and we are poised to help address it.
What's the motivation, Patrick? You've got Medicare. It's politically centric right now because both sides of the aisle are worried about the Medicare costs, right? They're worried about this escalating healthcare costs that's happening in the country. And here we come along with this particular platform that absolutely, we're right in line with what's going on in this country. And we probably got the best vendor in the business. He just landed 2 major, huge entities in the United States of the pharmacy realm, right? That really put the company on the map. And if you want to know more about that, call Certainty. We'll tell you who the names are. Believe me, it's worth the call, all right? But the bottom line here is that we are involved in a marketplace that's not going to go away over the next decade. And here's the beauty of everything is the fact that we're in the process of launching another radio show, Patrick, okay? It's going to be all about seniors. You want me to talk about that?
Yeah, let's before we go there, let me make one more comment. What's unique about our company, right? Our what we call the Certainty Collective is that we are constantly looking for and refining these relationships that can do exactly what our name says. They can provide greater certainty in the lives of our clients, their businesses, their organizations, their loved ones, and the communities as a whole. Seniors Home Services provides more certainty for seniors, helps the providers take better care of them. They actually make more revenue, about 150 to 200,000 on average per provider. CBI provides more certainty for employees and employers. We have another program that does medical underpayment. We can analyze health practices or hospitals,
Yep.
paid accounts, zero balance patient accounts, and help recover another 10 to 20% for them. Our benefit plans that are 40 to 70% less. Our HVAC technology that eliminates all the pathogens in a building. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, but they're all designed to help create certainty.
Yep.
We believe one of the best ways to provide more certainty is to provide more profitability, because the more profitability you have, the more options you have, the more security, the more peace of mind, right? And so let's transition to your show, Frank, because we're actually up against our first break. But when we come back, I want to talk about this new show that we're rolling out, and specifically for our senior population, because it is needed. It's being asked for and demanded, and who better to do it than Mr. Frank Helring with his chops, his background, and his connection to Senior Guide, to really a number of resources that we'll talk about here after the break. But so don't go away. We're visiting with Frank Helring here on Voice America on Finding Certainty. He is a very good friend of mine, now a business partner, a mentor, a colleague, one of my very best friends. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
Cool.
All right, we're clear.
I like the way this is rolling. We're concentrating on our two biggest markets, but we're also basically doing the peripheral as well.
Well, we have a great story, Frank. I mean, it's unfolding as we speak, and that's one thing I want to talk about more. Obviously, we're on YouTube, we're still recording, but you get a little bit of the behind the scenes on YouTube. But I want to talk about the ripple effects that are coming from this, right? The shows that we're launching, the business that's happening. There's some pretty exciting things happening. At the beginning, when I said we had no idea where this was going to go, I think we knew there was potential, right? We knew we had something special here, but this is $1 billion endeavor that's going to be, certainty is going to be a household name.
We also need to recognize our national sales team, make mention of that while we're on here, because they're going to watch this. Okay. So we need to kind of give them some attaboys.
Absolutely. So, had a good Christmas, I hope. I know you,
oh my goodness.
Did you get to see family, or was it just you and Rhoda?
No, we went to my son's on Christmas Eve and had a beautiful time there. My son actually imported pastrami from a New York delicatessen. It was unbelievable, really good. Wow. And I rented a BMW to give Rhoda a taste of the good life. Okay. Because our next car is going to be an Escalade. If I could have found one, I would have entered that one. And then went to my son in Arrowhead the next day, and his wife's parents, and we had a nice Christmas dinner. And then we went by their house and went on and did Christmas gifts, and then came home. So it was a very nice Christmas.
Good. It's
And I'm
funny.
excited about the fact that I can take a charter airplane from Orange County because he's moving to Wyoming. Because I have no intention of driving 6 hours from Denver to get to Landers, Wyoming to visit my son. So
Yeah.
we're going to have enough money I can jump on a charter from OC and drop into an airport near him.
Well, it's funny you rent a BMW for your wife, but you have a Porsche and a Lexus sitting in your garage. I mean, go figure.
It was either Audi or BMW. I had no other choice.
That's funny. All right, we're coming back.
All right.
You are listening to Finding Certainty with Patrick Laing. Have a question for Patrick or his guests? Join us on the show at 866-472-5790. That's 866-472-5790. Now, back to the show with Patrick.
Welcome back to Finding Certainty. We're visiting with Frank Helring. He's the co-founder of Certainty Global, my business partner, one of the senior partners with us in our what we call the Certainty Collective, and has come to be both a partner and a mentor for me, but also a very good friend. And we were talking a little bit about Christmas over the break. It's interesting because this next year, I believe, is going to be, call it a Christmas gift to the people on our team, to the communities we serve, the companies, the nonprofits. It is going to be, and is already becoming, just a remarkable gift of certainty. And all our hard work is really paying off. I want to get into your show that you're getting ready to start here, Frank, and then let's talk a little bit more about some of the ripple effects that are coming out of the last 3 years of effort. It's kind of exciting seeing it all
We
come
actually
to
talked
fruition.
about on the first show you and I ever did, dropping a stone in the middle of a lake, in a placid pool and whatnot, and what the ripple effect would be. It would reach the shore, no matter if you dropped a pebble, right? Because when you put something in motion, it just never stops motion until it gets an obstruction. But I think what's amazing is that even what we're doing with this show, take a look at the backdrops, ladies and gentlemen. This is our brand new branding, okay, of the company. You are about to see certainty change in some magnanimous ways because we are out to make that word a household name in America because there's so much uncertainty out there today. But to cut to the chase, back to the show, we are launching another radio show called FranklySeniors.com. You can go right now. There's a temporary web page up. Leave us your email or whatnot. We'll get in touch with you as to when we're actually going to launch the show. But I have been sponsored by CaliforniaSeniorGuide.com, one of the biggest magazines in the state of California, soon to be across this nation. And basically, we came up with the idea because my former show was the official radio show, BizZne BuzZ, on that website. Well, now that's going to come down, and we're going to put up Frankly Seniors, and we're going to go after one of the biggest marketplaces in America. 76 million births in the baby boomer generation, $75 trillion worth of wealth transfer that's going to happen from this generation. Unbelievable market penetration that we can do with this because nobody, Patrick, is concentrating on senior issues in this country. We already did a market survey. We can't find anybody that's doing anything in the likelihood of what we're about to launch. And I think what's amazing about this is we just talked about it on the first show, senior home services. You think I won't push that on the show? Think again.
Well, there's so much that we can do for our senior clients, whether they're business owners or not, right? We've talked for a long time about our 7 divisions, the Magnificent Seven, we refer to them, and it's a little bit of a just a nod to the old Western where they come in and rescue the village or the town from these bandits, right? They come to the rescue, and we liked that imagery or that metaphor because that's what we do. We come in and help rescue our clients. We help them make more and keep more, but we also encourage them to give more. We believe that if you pay it forward, it comes back to you tenfold. Well, seniors are in dire need of better tax mitigation, of identity theft protection, of health and wellness needs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, we have a product called Sarah Skills. It's a brain health app
Yep.
It's offered through Seniors Home Services, through the same organization.
Yep.
But in 10 minutes a day, a senior can literally reverse the effects of Alzheimer's and dementia. It can improve memory, cognition,
Yep.
balance. In fact, the only bad thing about it is from a business standpoint, is we only get paid on it for 6 to 12 months, because after 6 to 12 months, they don't need it anymore, right? They stop progressing. They get to a point where it's done irreversible good. And I mean, that's just a great example of how we're helping seniors to have more certainty in their lives.
Yeah, and I think the best part of the show, Patrick, is the fact it's not just me, okay? Even though, basically the name of the show kind of belies Frank, right? Frankly Seniors. But I've got Ninon DeVere Rosa alongside of me, who was with my previous show, BizZne BuzZ, co-host for over 6 months, and our show hit the top of the market with her because we are basically balanced. She's a senior, I'm a senior. So when we get on the air, if a woman calls in, if we have a live call-in type of a situation, she's going to be able to hit that from a female perspective. And I think that's really going to be a great balancing act when we get out there, because quite frankly, there's a lot of widows out there, a lot of widows, a lot of women who have lost their husband, right? Would like to get a perspective from a female standpoint of view. Ninon is amazing. You want to find out more about her, go to ninonspeaks.com or go to certaintylive.net, and you will see BizZne BuzZ live on Voice America formerly and whatnot, and you'll hear Ninon DeVere Rosa over the last 6 months on my show. So it's been absolutely amazing, this partnership that we put together with Ninon, and I think it's going to take us to greater heights, Patrick.
I think so too. I mean, you two really do complement each other, right? Now, you may both be seniors, but she's refined. She's got her British accent. She's very sophisticated. She's been in the entertainment industry for many, many years, won over 100 awards.
Yep.
She's an extraordinary TV professional and celebrity even, right? And then you are the business expert. You are the political analyst. You are you're the insurance guru. You've got
no
everything going on with certainty,
Fox,
right?
okay?
I mean, you'd be a good anchor, but and so you really do balance each other. You have, I think, different styles and different perspectives, not only male and female, but entertainment and business and Europe and America and so forth and so on. That I think it's a really fantastic mix.
And what does this do for our national team, right? I mean, we've got almost 100 really quality marketers out there, border to border, shore to shore in America. And my goodness, when we start putting these shows in the hands of our marketers for credibility standpoint of view or validity, especially with the senior home services, right? I mean, can you imagine how great that would be?
Well, it's one thing for us to say our shows are great, right? It's like I did a monologue a couple months ago about I've been going through the alphabet, right? And I was back in, I think, August, and I called my friend, or a friend of mine. I saw him, I think he was at church, and he said, "Hey, I listened to your monologue yesterday. It was really good." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I thought it was great." He goes, "That's kind of funny because your monologue was on humility," right? And I'm bragging about it. But seriously, it's not just that we're proud of what we're doing and we're happy with the results, but we're getting some really just encouraging feedback and recognition, right? We've been approached by a national radio sponsor who wants to take us into every major market, both of our shows. We have another channel called Bold Brave TV who wants to put us on to Roku TV and Fire TV, and we're already syndicated on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, etc. But they want to take that and 10x it. Yep. And so we just had a PR firm out of New York who wants to partner with us and put us onto television because they love this concept of certainty. They don't even know about the seniors, the new seniors show yet, but I know from conversations that is a hot topic for them as well. There's so much potential with these two areas of certainty for business and in life, and in helping our seniors find the same.
Yep.
That is talk about being right place, right time, right? The perfect storm. I don't know if we could have made it. We couldn't have done it. I think we couldn't have invented it and created it any better. In a very real sense, it's kind of fallen in our laps and evolved. It wasn't planned as much as it just has become,
Yeah,
but we're
it's
in the right place.
it's almost biblical, Patrick, because if you take a look at the life of Jesus Christ, what did he do? He fulfilled unmet needs. If you take a look at what we're doing with this company, that's exactly what we're doing. We're basically plugging in, borrow, plug, and play, right? A resource and expertise into a business platform. We are not competing. We are not absolutely overriding a business. We are plugging in to that hole of need and helping them get where they want to go. To me, that makes my blood boil.
Yeah. You know, people ask me all the time, what is our most successful product line or channel? And it is, and to this point has been our very first one, right? Our very first offering. I used to be the VP of sales for a company named Nuquo Group. And that was the first product line we started with. I asked the owner, who's my very good friend, I've known him for 30 plus years, if we could represent them independently. Well, in that time, between us and them, we've seen over $250 million in contracts influence. We've saved customers millions of dollars, right? And I love what we do in that space. It's about as exciting as watching paint dry. It's printer and copier contracts, right? But it's this multi-billion-dollar industry with no checks or balances.
That's right.
It's unregulated. And as a result, most clients are being taken to the cleaners. Well, we can come in and analyze that contract and show them how to cut it in half. And I bring it up only because it's an example of where we're protecting a client's interests. We're advocating for them. And everything we do to this point is an example of us advocating for our clients on their behalf.
It also does one other thing, Patrick. It creates found dollars. Okay. That terminology is huge in business because it's money they're already spending. And we come along and we say, we might have a different way for you to apply that. Okay. We're not saying that we're going to come in and cost you more or even necessarily make it less, but we can turn around and we can redirect those dollars to create more money. Are you interested?
Well, I love the fact that we put dollars back in their pockets. I've
Yes.
spent my entire career, I've been in sales almost 40 years, having to ask for a check.
Yep.
And for the last 5 years, since we started Certainty Management, we're the ones writing the checks. We're the ones putting money back in their coffers, back on their bottom line.
Exactly.
And I don't think I could ever go back to traditional sales where I have to ask somebody to go at, make an investment, take on risk, go in debt, right?
My friend,
We
if you
just
went
don't
into
do
the
that.
average business today, there is a chain with a lock around the checkbook and they've got cerebral palsy trying to pick up a pen, okay? Because they don't want to write that check.
That's right. When so many businesses have been impacted by COVID, by certain policies, by inflation, seniors, families, businesses, nonprofits, we have all been impacted, right? And whether you love him or hate him, whether you voted for him or not, I think a lot of people are cautiously optimistic. They're excited about what they think Donald Trump can do in the next 4 years to help offset some of that, to help get oil flowing and reducing inflation and creating jobs. And, whether you're political or not, I try not to get political on this show, but I think there is a lot of optimism out there. Whether you're Republican or Democrat, you may hate to admit it, but that things are going to get better in the
And
next few
as
years.
you well know, with my previous show, I had to be apolitical, right? Because Democrats own small businesses. So for over 4 years, going on 5, I couldn't basically slam somebody, and I won't slam the president of the United States because you have to respect the office. You may not like the man, but you got to respect the office. But the
Right.
bottom line here is that when we launch this senior show, if I see something coming at seniors that is not gratuitous, that is not in their favor, I assure you, I don't care who's sitting in that seat. We're going to be advocacy representing this particular market because somebody needs to.
That's if I had to pick one word for you, Frank, it's advocate. If I had to pick another word, it would be the very first word we spoke about in my very first show. This is interesting because this is a bookend, right? You were my very first guest, and we told our story then and talked about this new idea, and now you're coming in on the bookend. Your final show on Voice America, and my final show of the year, my final show of my second year of contract. But we talked about that word I know you love, and I love it as well, but that word reciprocity.
Yes.
I don't think you have certainty. I don't think you can find it or create it in your life or business without understanding the principle of reciprocity. Do you mind sharing why I would say that?
I think it's important because it really is demonstrated between the relationship between you and I. Okay. Because in the fact that I always want to do more for you and you always want to do more for me. And that's reciprocity. Reciprocity is always looking out for the better interests of the person that you're doing business with or having a relationship with. And I think what's amazing is that we hear that word coming out of the current administration, incoming, in Washington, D.C. I love to hear that. The other thing, too, is that we talk about a ripple effect, right? And I know you wanted to cover that. If you take a placid lake out there, ladies and gentlemen, and you drop a pebble in the middle of it, right? I assure you the ripple effect from that initial little splash will reach every shore of that lake. I don't care how big it is, because once you put something in motion, unless there's an obstruction, it will never stop. And I think if you take a look at certainty and what we're doing here with all these massive amounts of platforms that we put together for whose benefit? Whose benefit? It's your benefit. We're out to help you do more and become more successful. What better business could we be in?
So it's absolutely right. We want to help you enjoy more certainty in your life. You talked about our backdrops. If you're on the YouTube channel, you can see our new backdrops, our new logo, et cetera, et cetera. And I want to do a shout out to our graphic designer, Delwyn. He is just extraordinary. Over the last 5 years, since we started Certainty Management, we've accomplished 3 things, and there was a fourth and a fifth that I've really wanted to focus on. The first was to establish our brand, right? I'm really grateful we chose the word certainty. We considered other options. I think we were absolutely inspired. It was the right word, right? The right concept. The second thing we've accomplished is we've established extraordinary vendor relationships. I mean, we are a sales organization. We're a broker. We introduce other companies who then implement, install, provide customer service, etc. We do what we call PPG, which is peak interest, pass the baton, and go serve the next person. Or you can also say, get out of the way. Right?
Or get the HELL out of the way. Anyway, go ahead.
That's right. Oh, I talked about Nuquo, our very first vendor. I've known him for 30 years, right? He's one of my very best friends. Our vendor relationships, without fail, are vendors that we have known for years or that were introduced to us by people we've known for years. And so we can stand 100% behind those offerings. The third thing we've done is we've grown our team where now we have associates from coast to coast. I'm blown away by the quality of the people that we are attracting to our team. In fact, one of the things I'm very proud of is that every single member of our team has been referred by another member of our team, which says a lot about how happy they are here at what we call the best sales job in town. Well, the fourth piece we were missing is I felt like our marketing materials, our assets, our website were not up to par. They weren't as professional and as top tier as everything else. Our company, our brand, our offerings, our team. I felt like our marketing assets needed to be brought up to speed. And that's exactly what we've been doing. I'm very happy with Delwyn, our graphics designer. I'm very happy with the branding that he's come up with. The new website we're building is coming out soon.
Yep.
The new white pages, everything, right? We have an interactive website that's coming that I'm very excited about. So, and then the last piece is our public, not just our image and our look, but our presence and our promotion, right? We haven't done a lot on social media. We haven't done a lot of press releases. We have our radio shows, which have been fantastic. We haven't done much on TV and in print and other areas. And so, well, as we've brought our brand up to speed, our assets up to speed with the rest of it, now we can focus on really promoting Certainty's mission and vision to the world. And that's already happening. It's happening. These ripple effects are happening. Doors and windows are happening and opening. These introductions and these invitations to take the story to a larger landscape and to larger markets. But those are the two last pieces.
And I'll tell you
Update the
what I'm
brand
excited about more than
and roll it
anything,
out.
Patrick, is the tagline we've come up with, okay, which is up behind you and me right now, right? What's the first word? Profitability. If you take a look at what happened in the pandemic, okay, and it was even before the pandemic, NFIB, which I used to be a big part of, they turned around, they did a study from 2008 to 2015. We won't talk about what the president was at that particular time, but during that realm, they lost 14.2% of small business in America. Okay. At the end of the pandemic, they think that number's about close to 25%. And I'm not talking about people that are doing, business applications or doing internet businesses. I'm talking Fourth and Main, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, right? The guts of who pays the sales tax revenues to the counties and the cities of this country. And the bottom line here is that about 75% of what we have. But here's the thing. Only 40% of that 75% is turning a profit in 2004, in 2025. And what is the first word in our tagline? Profitability. We are right in the center of the need necessary to be met in this country right now. And that excites me, my friend.
That's right. The second word, if you are not watching this, if you're listening, the second word says funding. Mm-hmm. And funding is a big need for both for-profits and nonprofits. Frank always says the only difference between a for-profit and a nonprofit is the word non. They both have overhead, they both have personnel, they both have expenses, they both have needs, and they need more funding. The more funding they have, the more good they can do. We actually talked about starting our own foundation. And then the more we talked about it as an executive team, we said, why don't we help hundreds of foundations, hundreds of nonprofits, rather than just create one? Let's use what we're good at to help nonprofits raise funding. And now we have what we call the Certainty Partners program that does exactly that. It can help you access unlimited zero-cost funding. More of those hidden dollars, that $250 million plus that we've seen influenced in contracts with Nuclear and the millions of dollars we've had. What if a portion of that could go to the nonprofits in our communities? Talk about reciprocity, right? That's what we call reciprocal fundraising, where everyone wins. Not just one person holding their hand out and another person writing a check.
Now that you touched on nonprofits, I mean, as you know, I was the CEO of a nonprofit. You read my bio, you'll find that out. And, the status quo way of raising capital for nonprofits has got to change. And the reason being is because You've got a changing of the guard and boards, right? The baby boomers are exiting, their kids are coming in. They may not have the same, persuasion or attitude or alliance, right, to that particular thing. And the funds, all of a sudden, you don't get your check, right? Or the grants, I mean, what a nonsensical, arena that is. You got to hire somebody and about 85% of the money goes to them that they help you. I mean, this has to change. And right now, America is definitely focused on having needs met. Okay. And I think that's the reason why certainty is so exciting. But at the same point in time, nonprofits out there need a different methodology of raising money. And we've got it.
Yeah, I always say there's four parties to any transaction, but speaking of nonprofits, you have the nonprofit who has the need. They also have relationships that we don't have, right? They have people on their board, boosters, friends and family that support and believe in that nonprofit and what they're trying to do. We have the expertise to find dollars for those clients and funnel a portion of those dollars. And just so you know, we give 50% of the commission we would have paid to the reps. Every one of our reps has agreed to give up half of their commission and donate it to the nonprofits who got the chain started, who made those introductions. And we have our vendors who provide the services. So it's very much like we're all bringing a piece of the pie to the table.
Yeah. And here's the best part. We're in the process of putting together a piece, right, that's going to go out. Our entire national team is going to use it as an introduction to the company, which is going to be very exciting. And a lot of it will be focused on nonprofits. So here's the wonderful thing. And we just had this conversation. Well, are we going to gear one to nonprofits and one to for-profits? No, we're not going to do that. Why? Because on boards of nonprofits, guess who's sitting there? For-profit companies who are advisors to those nonprofits. So definitely, if we can pierce that particular veil, it's amazing what we can do for those for-profit companies. And are they going to be generous to the nonprofit they represent of the money that we create for them? Definitely.
Well, there's so much one-sided transactions that go on, so much, what's in it for me, so much focused on what I need, what I want, what I'm looking for. And it's one of the problems in politics, right? Me. It's a huge dilemma, not just in politics, but in business, in marriages, in parenting and children, et cetera, et cetera. When you understand the power of reciprocity, the power of serving each other, what can I do to serve you? You made a great comment earlier, Frank, about how I do everything I can to help serve you, and you do everything you can to help serve me, and our entire executive team is the same way. When people understand that, just with nonprofits, it's not just me holding my hand out saying, give me a donation so I can go do some work. And that's why so many fundraisers are burned out. The donors feel like they've given and given and given. They have a target on their back. They almost hesitate, regret ever starting the process. And fundraisers are exhausted of asking over and over and over for that handout. If you could all bring a piece of the pie to the table and everybody wins in the process, you need a mechanism, you need a vehicle like certainty, I think, for that to work. But that reciprocal relationship, it's not only an extraordinary answer to this dilemma, this question, but it's a model that many others could pattern their lives and their businesses
after. If you take a look
after.
at what we created here, I mean, there's an old saying that says the creating of a whole is the sum of its parts. And if you take a look at the executive team that we have had come together on this incredible level that we've created, I mean, they're all gifted, they're all talented, they all have different skills and ways of doing things. And the beauty of it is we all agree. And we don't always disagree, but we always agree sooner or later after we disagree, right? But the beauty of this is, and I love it, I really love it. I've never accomplished this entire lifetime in my business career. If you take the word me and flip it, what does it spell?
EM?
We.
Oh. We.
And that's what we've created.
Flip it upside down.
We've created
turn it upside down.
Exactly. We've created a we company here. And that's a company that's going to last.
Yeah. If you're looking for an opportunity, reach out to us. As I said, we call it the best sales job in town.
Yeah.
We have a faith-based, family-focused culture, unlimited income potential, and the chance to not just do business, but do good. If you're a nonprofit in need of funding, reach out to us. We don't charge anything for our help. It's a free service to you, but we can help you raise unlimited
Yep.
zero cost funding.
Oh,
If you're a business,
by the
a
way,
city,
on
a
that note,
school,
guess who the
yes,
first
sir.
guest is that California Senior Guide is going to bring over to the new show? Are you ready for this? The Alzheimer's Association. Didn't you mention Cirrus?
Sarah Skills. Yep,
Cirrus helps with Alzheimer's and dementia, correct?
it does.
You think that that isn't a show made in heaven?
Well, you think that isn't another ripple effect,
Oh, yeah.
right? I I was saying if you're a business who is interested in improving your profitability, we can most definitely help. It's more than just ripple effects. I think I see of ripples as they're slowly moving out when you drop a pebble in a lake. It's more of it's even more than a mushrooming effect where they're growing and expanding. It's more like a snowball effect, right?
Yep. Yep.
You start something good rolling. It starts getting not just not just picking up speed, but it
Yep.
gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And that is exactly what's happening here at Certainty
Well, you
Management.
built snowmen when you were a kid. You were raised in Utah, right?
That's right.
And I was raised on the East Coast. We had a snowman in the front yard every year. Starts with a snowball and you keep rolling it, babe.
That's right. So we are up against the end of the show, but it's fun doing this every year. It's just kind of an annual tradition for us near the end of the year to look back on what's happened. It's incredible what's taken place in the last 12 months.
Yep.
We grew 700% last year. And the crazy thing is, we're going to do the same this year. Now, you won't do that forever. I mean, it gets too big,
No.
right? But when you're a small business starting out, growing into a mid-sized business and becoming a large organization,
Yep.
it's incredible what's happening on a daily basis. I want to echo your words, Frank. Just a shout out to our team. I'm so impressed with the quality that's coming to our team and the efforts you're making. Putting your reputations online. We've got people who are been in legislation, an attorney for 40 years, a tax attorney who says, "I'll bring you 1 million lives this year." We've got
Yep.
Seniors Home Services. They've got over 2,000 affiliates and associates. We're talking with them about some of the services we can provide, like our corporate benefits initiative. I mean, things just keep popping, and I say it's hard to believe, but I absolutely believe it because I see it happening on a
And
daily basis.
may I say a word to our national team? I want to wish you the most merriest of Christmases, even though it's beyond the date of this show. The happiness of New Year's in 2025. Patrick and I are so thrilled to have you as part of the Certainty Collective. You all matter. Every single one of you. I don't care from the smallest to the largest. All of you matter. And I may not have been with you as much as I would have liked to this past year with international travel and different things like this, but I keep pretty close tabs on what's going on with the organization. And let me tell you something, we are all on a glory road to success in this company. And I assure you, you keep God first, he'll take care of the rest.
That's right. As our good friend and team member Glenn Copland says, he's a 2-time Purple Heart recipient. He ends every team meeting we have every Wednesday with "God bless America."
Amen.
Thanks everybody. Have a great holiday season and fantastic new year. We're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to sharing it with you through Frankly Seniors and Finding Certainty. We wish the very best. Well,
I think we knocked that out of the park. What do you think?
I think it went great.
It's amazing how
We're
much
still
content
recording.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's amazing how much content we got in there. It's really amazing.
Well, it's amazing to me, Frank, how much is happening, right? There's an analogy I'll share with you from the scriptures. It talks about faith and it compares it to a seed. I talked about it back in about June or July when I did my monologue on faith. And it says you take this seed and you plant it in your heart.
Yep.
You give it a chance. It's talking about faith and testimony, but it applies to an endeavor like ours as well. It says that if you can only desire to believe, that's the start, right? That's the first step up that ladder. If you don't cast it out by your unbelief, that means you give it a chance.
Yep.
And it says if you till it and you water it and you grow, it'll start to grow. And if it's a good seed, it will begin to grow. And it gives you three evidences that this is a good seed, that you're headed in the right direction, that faith is happening. It says the first evidence is it says it begins to enlarge your soul.
Mm-hmm.
Right? In other words, you feel it more. I mean, obviously, we feel pretty passionate and pretty optimistic about what's happening. The second evidence it gives is it begins to enlighten your understanding.
Mm-hmm.
So you start to understand better
And
what's working, what's not working.
We're the only ones, my friend, who could ever destroy it.
That's right.
We're the only ones.
Well, as it grows, you feel it more, you understand it better. I think we're getting better and better at what we're doing, right? We're not perfect. We make mistakes, but we learn from those mistakes and we keep pressing on. And it says the last evidence of that it is a good seed, that it's growing and going in the right direction, is it says
Patrick, as long as we keep the client's interest paramount, this will succeed.
That's right. The last evidence, though, stop cutting me off. I'm just kidding. The last evidence is that it becomes delicious to you.
Oh, yeah.
So not only do you feel it more, not only do you understand it better, but you want it to work. You desire it, right? You want to continue moving. And where this company takes us, who knows, right? It's already taking on levels and growth that we couldn't even imagine, right? But I think the one thing that I think just keeps encouraging me and it keeps reaffirming for me what we're doing is that I love it. I'm not getting tired of it. We might be working a lot of long hours and we might be tired and pulling all-nighters at times and things like that, but I love what we're doing, Frank, and I am so excited about where it's headed.
Can I make a goal? You ready?
You bet.
Next Christmas, write it down, buddy. We want to send every one of our active marketers, okay, an Omaha steak package for Christmas.
I like that idea. Either that or
I ceded it to you.
That's good. I think we should send them all tickets to the cruise we're taking them on in for St. Patrick's Day or something like that.
Because we could get into Omaha that way. Can you imagine if we sent out a corporate, thing? We need 100, filet mignons and burgers and franks and stuff like that. That's going to catch the attention of Omaha.
Yeah, just so you know, if you're listening, Frank sent me and my wife an Omaha steak package this Christmas as a nod to this goal. But I cut out the message that came with it from the CEO of Omaha Steaks. They're a family-owned company, right? They've been around forever.
Love them.
Amazing product. But I cut out his name and number.
Mm-hmm.
It's right here on my desk somewhere, right here.
Yep.
Omaha Steaks since 1917. Yep. They're more than 100 years old. I'm going to reach out to them about what we can do because we could do.
They still have storefronts.
Yeah. 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 I had to drive all the way across town to go pick it up, Frank, though, an hour and a half.
I'm going to send you a card of a guy that I had turkey dinner with my kids and their parents. This guy is a vice president of the biggest leaseholder of private jets in the world, and they have 4,000 employees. They're based right here in California in Petaluma. Okay, I want to start finding out because this guy is not the guy to get us to the decision maker. Okay, I want to find out who's got inroads. I'm going to send you the card. Start putting out the feelers. Let's find out who's close to the top on this company, because this could be amazing. They're the biggest in the business with private jets, G7s, citations. I mean, unbelievable.
You think about it, a company with 4,000 employees,
Yep.
when we can come in and provide 15 additional benefits at no cost to them, right? No out of pocket cost.
Yeah.
But it also is going to put $2.6 million on average back on their bottom line.
Yeah.
That's not just 1 year, but every year as long as they stay on the program.
Yeah.
You know, my very first Nuclear job, Frank, I've told you this story. We helped an electric contractor named On Electric. They're up in Portland, Oregon. We helped drop their price from $20,000 a month to $8,000 a month. A 60% reduction in price.
It's a big jump.
Right? Put over $500,000 on their bottom line with a 60-month contract. But the CEO brought me aside. I've never forgotten this story because he pulled me aside afterwards and he said, I don't think you realize, he said, I don't know if you realize how big a deal $500,000 in pure profit is to our company. He said, that's like $10 million in new sales.
Patrick, it creates a problem for a company because when found dollars come back into the CFO, he has to find something to do with them.
It's a good problem to have, right?
So it's a good problem to have, but he has to find something to do with them. And I think what we need to do, we have a testimony page on the new website, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every CBI client we bring on, don't necessarily have to put the name of the company because this is private, okay? But you can put in the name of the guy, his title, say, CBI saved us $3 million. CBI saved us $7 million. You start putting that kind of copy out there, it's going to catch attention because when people come to our website, they're going to hit that testimonial page and they're going to go, holy cow, they saved $17 million. They saved $22 million. I got to find out what's going on here.
Well, and that's to my point about our fourth and fifth initiatives, right? The first was the brand. The second was the vendor relationships. The third was the team.
Yep.
The fourth is our marketing, our PR. The fifth is our presence, our public relations, right? You've got to have the right assets, the right website, the right updated logo and other things, I think, before you put your best foot, so you put your best foot forward.
Yep.
But getting those testimonials out, building out our blog, our social media, being on television as we're going to be and other things, continuing to promote the shows and taking them into more markets. That's where our focus will be. We've built our entire company on word of mouth, both our team, as I said, team members recruiting other team members, and our customers referring other customers. Well, we're at the stage now where we can unleash the floodgates, Frank. We have the systems, the CRM, the brand. We have what it takes to actually start marketing certainty. And we've never really done so. We've never needed to. But I think we're at a point now where we're ready to push that snowball down the hill and just hold on for
I think Peter Rancy's going to have his mind blown if we put together a meeting with him and Carl.
Of what can be done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
there's a lot happening that's mind-blowing, honestly.
Carl doesn't know about that, but he's going to.
Well, there's a lot of potential this
and
next
year. That's a plane flight to Lynchburg for that deal.
That's right. Well, Frank,
Carl's a guy you got to cut a deal with nose to nose.
That's right. Frank, before I cut off the recording here, I just want to say thanks to you for your mentorship, your friendship, for your sacrifice. Thanks for helping get this fire started, right? Getting this snowball built.
Sometimes I feel like I haven't done enough, Patrick. I see the long hours that you put in, and I am one of the most appreciative people on the face of the earth, and don't ever think I take that for granted. And many times I just think of that day that you and I were in Conway, Arkansas, and a decision that could have been made the wrong way, you're not here. And I think about that a lot. And I think about how good God is in the fact that he placed me there at such a time that there was an unmet need. And that unmet need got met. And I'm so thankful. And I'll be thankful all the way to my grave.
I'm thankful too. You saved my life, Frank. And just so if you don't know the story, guys, it's the one time Frank and I have had words. We actually had a pretty great partnership, which is surprising. Most partnerships, they struggle, but we were in northern Arkansas visiting our friend Dalton and his son Damon, about to go fishing on this world famous river, the White River. They have 50-pound trout in this river. Yep. We had driven 3 hours to get there. And I had a stomach ache. I was just feeling sick the whole time. I was the whole way there. Yep. And we get out of the car and Frank says, "Man, you look like death warmed over." I said, "That's okay. Let's go fishing. I'm ready. I'll just, maybe I can puke and feel better or whatever." Right. Yep. And remember what you said?
I said, "You get in the back of that truck. Let's monitor this." Okay. And so he got in the back of a truck, and I came back to him about 10, 15 minutes later, and you weren't any better. I said, "We're going home."
I said, "What are you talking about?" I mean, when I said the first time we had words, I wanted to go fishing. I'm a big fisherman, and I've been looking forward to this trip. They still owe us, by the way. We still paid for it. They say we have a standing invitation, but we ended up. I remember you said, "I'm half of this partnership and I'm putting my foot down."
I did say that, yeah.
So we're going back to town, back to Conway or toward Little Rock. And I felt so sick, I finally gave in. And we drove back to town. We called a teledoc on the way, one of our services.
Part of Life Exec, one of our vendors.
That's right.
Go ahead.
And the doctor said, "You need to immediately go to the ER." He says, "You have every indication of appendicitis. Mm-hmm. Sounds like it hasn't burst yet, but it's imminent. You need to get in to that hospital." Yep. And we did. We went in, they checked me out. They immediately put me in for surgery. 3 hours later, I was done. I could have been 3 hours away, an hour up a river when my appendix burst.
Yep.
And I probably wouldn't be here today.
No, you wouldn't.
So you took the words out of my mouth, Frank, because I was thanking you for your friendship and your mentorship, but also thanks for that.
If the good Lord above had not had me had an appendectomy at 8 years old, I would not have recognized the symptoms either, and I did. Okay, and I think what's really amazing is that our vendor was right there to help us make the final decision, right? Life Exec. I mean, Ken York doesn't know how valuable that teledoc was to us that day.
Yeah, because I was just going to go back to the hotel and lay down and see if I could sleep it off. And then you said, "You've got that Life Exec. Why don't you call the doctor?" I think you even made the call, right? Because I felt so sick. But yeah. All right. Well, we better cut this off. We could talk all morning. But
all right, buddy. You have a marvelous day, and I'm so glad we did this show today. I think it's apropos, and I think our people are really going to appreciate it.
Well, congratulations on 5 years with BizZne BuzZ. I think it's an important contribution that you've made to
did you hear what I said?
This small business.
Did you hear what I said? I said it was a great ride. It was a great ride. We loved doing it, and we hope that you loved us. That's all I said.
I know they did. The feedback we've gotten, but I think it's time for the next adventure, right? There is too much need in business and in the senior market to not address both of them, to not seek to serve both of them. That's why
we should look to hang the show on that network in New York. We should look to hang the show with Francis, okay? And then talk about bringing it back up with Arnold, okay? And we can do 2 shows. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, that's where we're headed.
All right, buddy.
So
you have a great day. We'll see you at 3 o'clock, right? 3 o'clock with Arnold.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. If you've been with us this long on the YouTube, kind of get a glimpse behind the curtain of the Certainty Collective with with the young and operational background that I bring, and
Yep.
and Frank, he avoids that administrative side, but he is
Like the
he
plague.
he's one of the most loyal, hardworking, just extraordinary business leaders I've ever met. So Frank, congrats on your show, congrats on the new show, and thanks for everything. And I'm really
You're going to be
forward
part of
to
that.
this next
He's
year.
Frankly Senior. That's a wholly owned asset of Certainty Global, buddy.
That's right. All right, brother. Well, happy New Year yourself. My best to Rhoda.
Never was in the
And,
service, but I salute you for your 9 years in the United States Army.
Thank you, my friend.
I wish I had shoot dirt. That's one regret I have, that I was not a member of the United States military.
Well, I think your service with the Vietnamese, the Southern, tell me the exact name, the Southern.
You talk about the provisional government of Vietnam that's been exiled for 34 years. Yeah, it's the Third Republic of Vietnam.
Third Republic.
Second Republic is the one that fell, and he's seeking to be the Third Republic.
And you've been an ambassador with them for several years now, so you've served.
Well, I think what's interesting in your own way, that's a huge market that we haven't tapped. The Vietnamese market.
Yep,
might be able to do that. It's about 1.4 million. Just for Vietnamese, and if you take it international, it's another 6 million outside the confines.
We just brought on it, talking about the quality of our team members. We just brought on a guy who has a direct connection with the largest corporation in Vietnam.
Nice.
And multi-billion-dollar organization. He's interested in our battery management system.
Set up a meeting.
Our HVAC technology, and the list goes on and on. So I think he'd be very intrigued with what you've done with the Third Republic.
Yeah. If he doesn't have C in front of his name.
Yeah. No. Let me just close with this. I talked about, in my monologue for December, I talked about light. And when we talk about creating more certainty for people, we're really talking about creating more light in their lives, more hope, more optimism, more faith, more peace. That's what we're doing, right? And so thanks for being a great example of that, Frank. If you're listening, thanks for joining us. Certainty is out there. There's more to be had. We can help. Right. Have a great weekend. Have a great new year.
Take care, buddy. I'll see you at 3. Bye.
Thanks for tuning into today's episode of Finding Certainty. We hope you've gained some more insight into how to create more certainty in your own business or nonprofit. Join us next week for another taste of the certainty experience. Until then, we wish you greater certainty in all that you do.